This is the second video in our two-part video series about the Wellbeing Ambassadors programme, working with Sarah, a researcher from University of East London who was doing her master's degree in coaching psychology and positive psychology and was looking at voice-led participatory research with young people who had done our Wellbeing Ambassadors programme to provide a peer mentoring intervention. And what she was looking at in this part of the video is the factors that impact the success of a Wellbeing Ambassadors intervention. And it's actually more of a coaching approach that young people want when they come to their peer-to-peer interventions, asking questions, feeling heard and listened to, and that actually how that program is promoted and how the perception of help and peer mentoring can prevent young people taking up the intervention, and also the effectiveness of that intervention in a school or setting. So really helpful findings straight from the voices of young people, the people that this intervention is designed to serve. So I'm really excited to share these findings with you. If you're interested in seeing the first half, I'll link it above, so you can also watch the first part of the video series as well. If you're interested in joining the Wellbeing Ambassadors programme, look on the page below for the different links and to our website where you can find out more or sign up for the Wellbeing Ambassadors programme. Is that whether the young people perceived the intervention to be effective?
Yes, exactly. And there's a lot of research that shows that can be trusted. Their own self-assessment of whether this is beneficial or not is very valid. So yes, it was whether they felt that this was beneficial and having an impact basically to them was what they deemed as success. So kind of the first thing that came out was just the stigma that is around mental health and not wanting to be different. So particularly for the younger peers, if they've been paired up with a mentor, they can automatically feel different from their peers. If that's not the norm, if getting support from other young people is not the norm, then you can feel automatically just different and maybe not want to be. Young people don't want to be different. Don't sometimes they do, but not in this area.
No, they mostly don't want to be different.
No.
They mostly want to be the same.
Yeah, and it was really interesting. Like even some of the quotes of being called out of lessons to see their mentor, the hesitation around if they've been gone too long, they know that people are talking. When they come back into the classroom, people know they've gone to see a mentor. And so some of the young people told me that they made up an excuse. I'm just going to see a friend or like because they didn't want that kind of affected whether they wanted to buy into this support, even though they felt like they needed it.
That's so interesting and so nuanced that an adult wouldn't have thought of that.
Yeah.
I get it completely. I remember speaking to some young people. I can't remember what we were doing. I think it was around when we were designing the original peer coaching, is what we used to call Wellbeing Ambassadors. And they were like, yeah, well, you don't want to be seen to go up to floor 3, because if you're seen to go up to floor 3, everyone, because the counsellor was up there, everyone knows you've got an issue. So that's why we don't ask for help, and that's why we don't go up there. Whoa. Stigma.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's talking about if it could be normalized in some way, that we all need to talk to people about how we're doing. That is just the norm. That would help build that in as a culture in the school.
Yeah. And the ambassador programs do a lot. Some of the other schools are using the ambassadors to lead that change, to do stuff around it's okay to be not okay, or what does okay look like, and how do we be better, and how do we flourish, and all those kind of sharing stories about struggles or self-help, or where to ask for help and who to ask for help, and poster campaigns and that kind of stuff. So it's interesting that they want that. They're asking for that.
Yeah. That links into the effective advertising of it. So one of the things they felt affected success was some people just didn't know it was going on. So again, makes it quite niche, or like for only particular people, which again makes you feel different. Whereas if it was widely publicized, talked about in various formats, in assemblies, in posters, in workshops, lunchtime, that this is just part of our culture. This is how our school takes care of each other. Then they felt like that would really affect the success of the program.
Yeah, and I found that it's like, well, it's like anything, isn't it? They might get told when they start year 7, oh, you can have a wellbeing ambassador or a peer mentor. If they don't need it at that very moment, it's going to go in one ear and out the other, and then they're going to forget. And there's so much other stuff going on, and so many other things that they are kids. You know what I mean? There's so many other things that they need to remember that they're just going to forget unless it's refreshed constantly.
Yeah.
And promoted as, like you say, normal part of the culture. That everyone accesses a mentor when they start year 7 for just an engagement chat or a welcome chat to the welcome. Oh, that'd be good, wouldn't it? Like a welcome chat to the school.
Yeah. Yeah, they some of the wellbeing ambassadors came up with ideas through the focus groups of going into the primary schools that feed into the secondary schools and say, why don't we introduce ourselves to the year 6s before they come in, and this is what they can have, and it just
I know some schools do that some of the ambassadors do that, especially when it's like one secondary attached to several feeder primaries, or like it's like in a rural area and they've got lots of small feeder primaries in all the villages, and then there's one big secondary or something like that. So I know that is a thing that happens. So it's just those particular young people in those 2 participating schools didn't have that experience, but it's interesting that they say that that's what they would like to do, and it is happening in practice elsewhere. So that's reassuring.
Yeah.
And then tell me about the mentee buy-in.
Yeah, so I think the other part being that it takes 2 for a relationship to be effective and impactful, and that was one of the things that they actually said. And so mentee buy-in, there were some mentees, even who I interviewed, who it seems like they were there because their teacher had said, I think you would benefit from having a mentor. Which might be true, but if that mentee didn't really know why they were there or really want it, and they're not bought into it, then you end up wasting both people's time. If the ambassador's experience with that person was, this is really difficult, they don't want to be here, every time I ask them a question they just one word, or they're defensive, and so that's not going to work. So yeah, even asking the young people, a teacher might think a young person might benefit from this type of relationship, but perhaps doing more to sell that to them, or ask them, what do you think you could get from having a mentor? Do you want one, and why? And that is actually important, rather than just assigning mentors and mentees together.
Yeah, and I think that's where the piece around wrapping around all this, like around the purpose of the intervention, why we're doing it in the school, staff buy-in, how does it feed into strategic action plans? Like, it's not a bolt-on, it's not a tokenistic thing. It takes effort, it takes a bit of organizing, and it takes a bit of time to get going. That's why we give 3 years access as well, because it can take a whole year just for people to even know it's there and it's a thing, and get it going and recruit the right young people and train them up and things like that. I didn't mention, did I, where we're talking about mentor matching and recruitment of the mentors, this bit, I was just speaking to a school the other day, and I know that this has happened in other schools, is that as I said, it goes on for several years, and then the schools that would have it fully embedded, what's happening is the ambassadors that were the first cohort are starting to recruit and train the ambassadors that are the second cohort, so then they can really think about, well, what did I want from the training, or what really helped me, and then nuance it a little bit and shape it and make sure that the right young people are getting trained and the right young people are selected. So that's, I think that was one of the findings, wasn't it, in your study, that they wanted to be able to select their own, help the mentors be involved in recruiting the mentors, was definitely something I've read a young person's said. So
yes, yeah, so yeah, that was a big part. So not only the matching, having something to read about a prospective mentor and being able to kind of have a say in who they might like, but it seemed that actually the younger peer being able to have that part in picking could be as important for the success.
I've not thought of it that way round. I was thinking like the ambassadors themselves could recruit, but it would be great if if you're going to do it like this, the year 7s helps interview the ones that are going to be selected to be the older ambassadors.
Yeah, exactly.
And
it leaned towards saying that because also that helps mentee buy-in. If they've had a choice to be like, I think this person would really be able to help me and I kind of connect, then they're already halfway committed to the process.
Yeah, and they'd need a little workshop or a little bit of training on what a good candidate looks like, or what are the kind of qualities that they would like in someone that's going to help them. And then they can identify their personal qualities and abilities, can't they? Oh, we want them to be kind, we want them to be good at listening, we want them to be confident, or maybe not that not maybe it isn't the confident one. And why isn't it the confident one? Maybe it's the people that we admire or inspire us, and what is it about them? God, that would be amazing. That would be such an amazing, helpful, like, little workshop to do with young people.
Yep.
Love that idea. And I think the more we trust young people and the more we listen to them, the better these kind of interventions are, would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. It seems like they knew what they wanted. The younger peers who were being supported, they knew what was helpful and they knew what they wanted, and when they felt safe, and yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm feeling is maybe something I've not appreciated it as much as it's not. I focus a lot on who the ambassadors are going to be, or who the mentors are going to be, and not so much like the young people who are going to be the mentees, co-producing and designing what they want from their mentor, and doing it all, like reverse engineering it, like doing it the other way around. Oh, that would be a radical. I love that.
I think that would be incredible, because it's ultimately it's for them, isn't it? If that is where we're looking at, they're the ultimate end users in terms of the support that they need, giving the power to them to choose what is going to help you, get to where you want to get, or be the person you want to be. And yeah.
And I think that's the thing. I mean, that's the thing with all of my work is we think we can know what young people want and what they need, but they know what they want and they know what we need. We just need to ask the right questions to find out what they need.
Yeah. A couple of things to kind of what you just said. It reminded me that one of the things that came out was from both ambassadors, they felt like having a relational contract with the young person at the kind of the start. So just kind of what, outlining the clear expectations for this dynamic, that could also help buy in as well. And we know it's that in general is shown to be important for success of coaching relationships as well. So there was that. And then the other thing was rapport building skills can sometimes be assumed in teaching kind of basic counseling, psychosocial skills, active can be assumed that someone knows how to build rapport. But again, what kind of came out was the desire for exemplars of, okay, what can I actually say? So we're teaching these skills, but do they know, having real tangible examples they felt would be really helpful.
Yeah. And I think, because I always say to schools that do the program, the workshop day is the beginning, not the end, and get them together and you could go over these bits again. Or if there's some, like even just saying to them, well, how do you build a friendship? When you start getting to know somebody, what do you do? How do you do it? And like break it down step by step. So they already kind of have the answers within themselves. It's not like rocket science, but it's just giving it a bit of time to like get up, like break it down so they can build it back up again, I suppose. And feel more confident that they do know how to do it. Yeah, very interesting. Any final thoughts, Sarah, on what you learned, or how just anyone that wants to do a peer-led intervention for mental health and wellbeing, any pearls of wisdom?
Well, I think it's a great idea because, as we talked about at the beginning, young people are talking to young people. So why not equip them with the skills to be able to best support each other? And then in equipping them with skills to support each other, that it also equips them to support themselves. And that's what the ambassadors talked about, that they felt like they were able to use the tools that they learned for their own times of stress and anxiety. And then really to trust the young people. They know what they need and what they want. And by empowering them, I think we'll see more impact.
It was a very small study and it was a very small part group, but just to listen and hear what young people are saying and take it on board and shape interventions to meet their needs, I think is so important. And for me, as the leader of this organisation, I've always done that since day one. And it seems to me that they're asking for a coaching intervention without having that vocabulary or having those words. Would you say the same? What are the things that stood out to you as like the coachy things that they want?
Yeah, I think the younger peers themselves wanted to be asked more questions as opposed to being given, one young person had the experience of an ambassador just setting her a goal. And she felt really that was kind of a situation, a dynamic where she didn't feel really safe. And it occurred to me, in coaching, we don't set the goals for them. We learn how to help the person we're working with think about what goal would they like to set and where and so I just look, there's that aspect. But then also it seemed to be a real relief to the ambassadors who wanted to support young people to not have to have all the answers. Like, a big part of coaching, you don't need to. You're not supposed to be instructing and giving them the answers. And if you can just help, you really believe that the young person knows kind of what they need, and you're just a space to listen, to reflect back the things that they're saying, and just kind of creating that space for them.
It's those coaching way of being skills, isn't it? The making them feel safe, the active listening, the building the safe, trusted relationship for them to not be judged, and all of those coachy things that are why it works and how it works, more than the container of loads of tools and strategies and things like that.
Right. And I do think I think we can often associate supporting someone with giving advice. I know I do. I think that can be the thing that I go to most, as opposed to, you don't need to give advice. Actually, the biggest impact sometimes is just holding that space for someone just to talk and just to listen. So I think that was really really relieving to them.
And that's enough. And that helps. It's amazing, really. But like I always say when I do my coach training for people, adults who want to coach young people, that just giving the gift of active listening and a safe, trusted peer in this case improves well-being just through that experience of being in that presence of that person. Don't underestimate how effective that is, especially if the young person doesn't have many positive relationships or role models, or that experience of what that feels like. It's so important. I could talk about this ages and dive into each.
I know it's triggering. I've got lots of thoughts inside.
But I just want to say thank you for doing the research. Sarah's hoping to publish. I am. So we'll look out for it in a journal. And it's adding to the field in two areas, isn't it? Understanding of what voice-led peer interventions, like asking young people what they want from their peer interventions. Nobody's really done that before. And also understanding a qualitative approach as well as to how it works. Not just does it work, yes or no, like you would do with a quantitative measurement, but how does it work? What's making it work? What are the active ingredients? And that's what always interests me. How do these things work, and what makes them work, and from a young person's point of view. So if you want to join the Wellbeing Ambassadors program, go on the website and join the Wellbeing Ambassadors program. You get access for 2 members of staff for 3 years, and I will be adding a bonus workshop based on Sarah's research and findings, and extra tools and resources in order to incorporate all young people's ideas, because I really think they're valuable and they're right. I agree 100%. So look forward to those updates soon. So thanks, Sarah, and I'm going to sign off now.